Hello Ben and Sophie. I've got 3 more videos to show you, but before we start them I want to tell you a bit about scale. That means how big things are, and it happens that the 3 scales we've used match the railway scales, the model railway scales, and I'll tell you a little bit about those. The one called O scale is the one where we had the train robbery and the farm and the cattle rustlers and the bandits and the Red Indians, and the track is this wide, and that's called O scale, or O gauge. I should use the word gauge. It's a funny word because when I was a little boy, when I was about 10 years old and I got my first train set, I was very interested in the gauge of the railways, which means the distance between the rails. And I mispronounced this. I thought it was gorge, and I talked about a narrow gauge railway, and my brother made fun of me. That's not very nice, is it? Anyway, the word is gauge. So the gauge of this one, the O scale, is the distance between the 2 rails. The next one is called double O, double O. And this is the track for double O, and you can see it's about half the size. Now, I don't have any locomotives or trains that fit this scale, that gauge, but of course, a lot of the things, particularly the first 2 videos, are double O scale, which is, for instance, the size of that truck, and the people are that size, and you've seen that before. So that's double O scale, or gauge. And the smallest one, I've got a bit of track here that I haven't actually used yet. Most of the track is like that. You can see it's the same, very small. The locomotives are that big, and that's called treble O. Treble means 3, and as you can probably guess, double means 2. So treble O is that scale. And there's a bus to the same scale. So very small, and in fact, it's so small that the people are tiny. They're so tiny that I daren't use them. There's a lady with a bag, and another lady with a bag, and a man, I think, but they're so small we'd lose them. Drop those on the carpet and they'd disappear. So I've never got the figures out because they're so very small. So those are the 3 gauges, and that gives us the scale of the different models. And that's the end of my little lesson. In fact, Sophie, I think your class at school would be very interested. You could give a little talk on railway gauges.